started, Coach, why don't you just talk to us a little bit about how the first practice go?
Um, it was really good. It was awesome to practice. We've had such a good 8 weeks off season's been phenomenal. It was the amount of stuff we did. The kids and coaches really done a good job preparing. We talked about it that first week of Jan. You got 8 weeks to get ready for spring ball. That's going to be our longest window we've ever had. We were kind of hedging. We didn't think we were going to get to go spring recruiting. So usually you got to get spring ball done by April 15th because then you hit the road. Well, our last spring practice is almost going to be to May. So we kind of guessed that that's what's going to happen so we could have a longer off season. We're definitely stronger and faster. We're in really good shape, but that also allowed us to have time for kids to, they've been doing 7-on-7 on their own. They've been doing everything to get prepared. We did so much stuff off it. Like our install for day one was pretty ridiculous on both sides of the ball. So a down note, we ended with a little bit of a skirmish, which, some places that's okay. Not at Miami. We don't practice getting penalties. We don't practice getting kicked out of the game. So but it was good to see, we're in helmets only. It's good to see that level of intensity in helmets only. So there's always a positive to it because it was awesome how much our kids are getting after and how much they can't wait for Tuesday. We got one more helmets only, and then we get to put the pads on, but the kids wanted to have pads on a day. And we took some drills too far and as, just the way it was, but that's when you have competitive kids, that's the way it is sometimes. But so we got to do a little bit of, I was thinking of that one scene in Miracle when they just did all them sprints all in a row. Now, we didn't take it to that point. We weren't trying to hurt our own guys, but we got on the line and blew the whistle a few times, remind them why we don't want to do that. But it was really good. The energy was really good. The 8-week preparation allowed them to have a really great first practice. They've been preparing for this for 8 weeks. We had a lot of installing on both sides of the ball. We really looked like, if you watched what we did on both sides of the ball, it was not one front and one or two coverages. It was pretty much, almost all of our first and second down defense and almost all of our first and second down offense. And we ran again. It looked like first day execution, but it looked a lot better than most first day executions.
Coach, first question is, how much do you think the intensity can be traced to the fact that you guys only played 3 games last year and you had so much downtime and that they were just itching to get the hell out there?
Yeah, there's no doubt. That's part of it for sure. Everybody's excited to just, as things get more normal, we're not there yet, but as obviously things are working towards more normal, just having a spring practice and not having it be canceled because the last time we were supposed to do anything football was canceled, as you know. So yeah, that's certainly part of it. And then I just think we got a bunch of competitive kids, and I think hopefully that'll carry forward next year. We kind of feel like this year was kind of taken from us, and not anybody's fault, but just, so hopefully we can carry that chip on our shoulder all through the off season right into next fall.
Spring is typically a time for battles to be, fought and won, and it sounds like some battles are already happening. So where do you see the biggest battles on this team, and that speaks to the depth of the team, but where do you see the biggest battles on the team position-wise?
Yeah, probably offensively, I would say in the old line. Obviously, you lose, Danny and Tommy, who've been longtime starters. So there's 2 spots clearly, but we're still pretty young. Aside from them. So I think, obviously Shafe and Rusty have played a lot for us, but doesn't mean like they've got everything perfectly locked down. But then obviously Bennett Clark played a little bit of right tackle this year and then got hurt. He really played part of one game. So right tackle is a little bit of a revolving door. So you really got kind of 3 spots that for sure are open. I think even all 5 can be up for grabs at some point. So I think that's, interior D-line. I think there's positioning battles going on. Obviously, you lose Manny in the secondary. So there's obviously an opening there on the back end of your defense. So the good news is we got a lot of starters returning. You talk about, 4 DNs returning, a couple inside defense guys returning. Both our backers returning, 4 of our 5 DBs returning, so, and, offensively, it's more for us, it's compete and maybe go past somebody up that's already been starting, or secure a rotational position, and get in that two deep. So where you are playing an end, rotating, and if you already were rotating, become the bigger part of the rotation.
Coach, how are you guys physically going in as you start spring practice?
We're good. We had a really healthy off season. We had a couple, obviously everybody has holdovers from the fall. So there's some surgery guys, Bennett Clark's not going to be there. Jack Sorensen's not going to be there because they had postseason surgeries. They're going to be fine, but they won't be here for spring. But other than that, so far so good. We got 1 down, 14 more to go, but we came into spring very healthy.
Were you guys inside or outside today?
We were inside just because of the rain. So.
Looking forward to getting outside?
Yeah, hopefully next Tuesday is I think the plan. We're going to go Saturday morning. I think it's supposed to be 25 at 8 o'clock when we start. So I don't know that we're going to venture out at it said when or whatever, feels like 17. I think we'll stay inside for that one. But that next Tuesday it's supposed to be up in the 60s. So we're hopeful. It looks like a bunch of good weather coming up. So we're hopeful to be outside a bunch here coming up in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, you mentioned talking about how you had everything was really well organized during the first practice. You have a lot. As I was looking at the depth chart from the last game that wasn't played against Bowling Green, you have so many starters back. Is that a benefit for you guys that you can really do a lot of installation during spring practice, knowing that you have a lot of experience coming back?
Yeah, and then with the rules in the off season, they allowed us to do some meetings. They've changed this year with, maybe because of COVID, maybe it's just, I think times are just changed. I think they're going to stick. So we were allowed to do some meetings as part of your week, the allowable hours. So the experience definitely is the number one factor. I mean, you got a lot of guys that can function at high level because they've been doing it. The continuity in our coaching staff is a big factor because if you got to get a new coordinator every year, then you're always, you may be getting a new system every year. You know what I mean? We've been running the same stuff. And then just taking advantage of having an 8-week off season that we had enough time to really spend some times and use that extra hours that they gave us for meetings, really take advantage of those and not rush into it. Just take our time and really install things really slowly. So there's a bunch of factors, but the number one by far is what you said. We got experience. There's a lot of kids that started in the MAC championship game 2 years ago that are, still here, and a lot of them still have multiple years of eligibility left, which is a very good thing.
Is there one major area of concern yet you have going into spring practice that you feel like you really need to address?
Not one positional, just the whole, what's 2021 going to look like? What's it, you talk about building a culture and doing all that, but every year you start, you don't start from scratch, but every year it's a new group. You get a new identity. What's the defense's identity is going to be? Again, some years you got it going, and a lot of times when you have a lot of returners like we do, complacency can set in a hurry. Like, hey, we've been there, we've done it. I start on a MAC championship team, and I'm gonna just kind of chill until I get to the season. So we're always trying to fight complacency, and the more success you've had and the better your kids think they are, that's an awesome thing because confidence is the key to winning. But also just battling every day that, hey, 2021 is 2021. Doesn't matter what we've done or not done in the past. Doesn't matter successes or failures. This is a new season, new kids, new leadership, new everything, and what are we going to be? So we've really done a good job the 8 weeks leading up to that. We talked a lot about it with our kids, and our kids are really taken to it. We should have great leadership, but that doesn't mean you're going to have great leadership, So but so far it's been very good, and I think because of that'll allow us to have a chance to have a really good season next fall.
How many? And I haven't looked at the roster closely enough to know this. How many recruits do you have in camp, and how many of them do you anticipate pushing the returning starters?
Yeah, we have, I think, was it four mid-semester kids, I believe. And then we got a bunch more coming in June. I don't know. it'll be interesting. Somebody's gonna have to be pretty good, but I said that 2 years ago and we had all those kids were pretty good. So it's hard to say. I would tell the older guys, shame on them if some freshman comes in here and takes your spot, because we have enough experience at every position, so, but, obviously Ivan Pace and Lonnie Phelps and Luke Bolden were big parts of what we did 2 years ago. And then obviously offensively, Brett, and, James May and obviously Rusty and Shafe were huge parts of, they're starting 4 of our 11 stars on offense. So you never know, but we're at the point now, I think it's harder and harder for young kids to come in and win spots. But if they're good enough, we've certainly proved we're not afraid to put them out there. If they can get in here in the fall camp and earn the job, we'll certainly play them. It's just harder now when you have as many returners. It'll be difficult for some of those young guys, really. But we'll see.
How did Brett look, by the way, today?
Yeah, Brett was good. AJ was good. Bester was out there practicing, which he looked great, which it's great to see him back. Obviously, Tyree's not back for spring, but everything's going great with Tyree. Homer's not back for spring, but everything's going great with Homer. But yeah, no, a lot of the older guys look sharp and look locked in, and we got a lot of stuff done.